as you've seen on the first two episodes, you know my parents very well.
Yes.
I kind of talked about our story growing up when my parents immigrated from India to Charlotte, North Carolina back in 1989, how they bought their first gas station, became entrepreneurs, all the hard work that was involved in that,
Right.
and just kind of everything that made me the person I am today was because of the guidance from people like my mother, my father, all of their friends, and the type of understanding and knowledge and wisdom that was passed down
That's correct.
from your generation
Yes.
as being, there at the ground level, coming to America with very little, nothing in a time. And I will let you kind of go from here. Please talk about like how you came from India, why you came, and just a little bit about those first couple of years and how you became an entrepreneur.
I came just like everybody else. I had a mechanical engineering degree from University of Bombay. But in those days, there were not too many opportunities. I'm talking about 1979. There were not too many opportunities for engineers. Like when I got the job, I was making 700 rupees a month, which is $10 a month for a
Wow.
mechanical engineer. Of course, that was 1979, but still, comparatively speaking, it was nothing. I could not buy a house. I could not get married. I couldn't run family. I couldn't do anything. So the reality in India was so bad, even if you were educated, there were not opportunities. So a lot of educated people, 80% of people graduated from Indian Institute of Technology, which is almost comparing to MIT's. They all went abroad. And I was one of them to come here to make my life better because there were no opportunities for educated people to do decent things and earn a living, have a family, and run a regular life. So I came as an engineer, having degree, landed with $7 in my pocket like every Indian did because we didn't have any hard currency from India to bring. Indian government would not allow to buy dollars because
Wow.
they didn't have dollars to give it. So you needed a sponsor letter or you needed a job or you needed something. Luckily, my sister had gotten married to an Indian American NRI. So I was able to get the sponsor letter easily. So I migrated here, got my first job in engineering as a draftsman, even though I was an engineer in Charlotte, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was in Matthews. And then on to I went to nuclear engineering big time.
Wow.
Nuclear engineering was a very big field. There was 65, 70 nuclear power plants getting built in America at the same time, all over the country. It was the biggest thing ever happened, and they used to pay unbelievable amount of money. In those days, getting 15 to $25 an hour was lots and lots of money.
Right, right.
Remember, my rent on the apartment was $250 a month for two bedroom. So I got into nuclear power plant business, hop from job to job, and then in 1979, late, I think 3 Mile Island accident happened in Pennsylvania, where a nuclear power plant almost got to a point where it was going to emit the radioactive nuclear waste around Pennsylvania and maybe the whole country. So that started the death of nuclear power plant industry. So within 5 years, 60 or 70 of nuclear plants that were under construction, majority of them closed because government required them to have so much paperwork, so much regulations that they just could not comply. The cost skyrocketed from 4 billion to 50 billion, 60 billion to open
Wow.
a plant. So they just shut the plant down in the middle of it. Some converted to coal, some converted to gas, some converted to a movie studio like in South Carolina, Catawba became a movie studio.
That's amazing.
So we had no choice. We were laid off on a Christmas night to say, well, I was literally assembled into a room and said, this plant is closing from tomorrow. We are spending $1 million a day in interest costs, so we're not going to open as of tomorrow. So you have no jobs.
So
So
let me set this stage right here. you are saying this is probably Christmas, what, 1982, 1983?
Yes,
And
1982.
1982, year
Right.
before I was born.
Yes.
Um, that is crazy. So Christmas Eve, you find out that you're being laid off.
And thousands of other people, including lots of Indians, lot of Philippines people, lot of, I mean, there was no bad blood here. Just everybody knew. Every Friday we would hear that this plant is closing, that plant is closing, this plant is closing. So we knew it was going to happen. One plant in Moscow, Ohio, and Shoreham, New York, they were 99% complete. But the
Wow.
one in Long Island, Shoreham, Newark, could not provide the evacuation plan in case of an accident. So the Nuclear Regulatory Commission say will not let you open. And as of today, after 40 years, it's never opened.
That's crazy.
And I heard they had spent like $15 billion already.
And that's 1982 money.
Yes, yes. So it was terrible, and a lot of Indians that you see in hotels today, in Pittsburgh, in Michigan, in Augusta, Georgia, wherever there were a lot of nuclear plants surrounded, you will see a lot of Indians migrated forever, like Augusta, Georgia had a Savannah nuclear plant. So you see a lot of hotels owned by Indians because we had nothing else to do. So you
Right.
do buy C store or hotels because remember we don't have money. We didn't have $10,000, $20,000. That's all we had.
So
That's
tell
why you see
me
a lot of people in
what went through your mind kind of during this time frame. You've lost this job. You've got maybe a little bit saved up for the next 30, 60, 90 days. That type of fight or flight mentality pushes people to the brink. And like they say, pressure can bust pipes or it can make diamonds.
right.
In your case, we know it's made amazing diamonds.
Yes.
So tell us your thinking on how you went from that into the hospitality industry.
What happened was I even though I was an engineer, I was working in a nuclear plant, I was making 60, $70,000. I was 23, 24-year old. I still did not like it because at heart I was entrepreneur. You know, if you are a Gala, I'm Shah, I'm a Gangar actually. So we are all born entrepreneur. Shah's means, entrepreneur. So
Right,
I
definitely.
had that bug even while I was working in nuclear plant in the evening after the job. I was always looking for business. My roommates were looking to play golf and looking to play tennis, and I was going looking for a business. I would literally visit liquor store and C store and hotels and whatnot. So for me, it was the best thing ever happened that this industry died because otherwise I would have been an employee for life because they were
Right.
paying us so much.
Blessing in disguise.
Yes, blessing in disguise. So I was very lucky this happened. I started looking for business from day one, and luckily at that time, a lot of people were in hotel business, a lot of people in C store business. So I just started calling friends. And after about 4 months of looking, I moved to South Carolina at my sister's house because I didn't have no money.
Right, right.
And from my sister's, I would literally there was no internet, there was no nothing. So I would take a physical map and I'll tell my sister, I'll go to this city today, I'll go to Florence, South Carolina to look for a hotel. And I used to literally walk into a hotel and ask the guy, hey, where's the owner? And at
No
that time, there
way.
were a
Are
lot
you
of Caucasian
serious?
owners. And I said, hey, I want to buy a hotel. Do you want to sell? And
Wow.
some people used to throw me out.
That's
Some employees
amazing.
used to throw me out. Some owners used to throw me out. And I used to go literally, I'll say, Monday I'll go to this town. Tuesday I'll go next door 60 miles to, Lumberton, South Carolina. And then I'll go to Hickory. And then I'll go to here. So I literally visited, I would say about 30 to 40 towns within a span of 3 or 4 months, literally going door to door, calling brokers. Remember, I didn't have money, but I said, let me find something. I'll figure out the way to do it. And
Exactly,
finally,
exactly.
I found a liquor store in Columbia, South Carolina. I I put it under contract. I needed $80,000 to get in, and I did not have 80,000. I only had 20. So I was going to get a partner. I was going to go to Delaware where my friends were and Boston where my friends were, try to collect the money. While I reached from South Carolina to about Virginia, I called my sister from the payphone because there was no cell phone.
Right, right. You had to pull over and go to a
Yeah, and say,
payphone.
hey, listen, I'm rich. Okay, there was a gas line because gas was a short supply like we had last week. So I called my sister, hey, I'm okay. And she said, "Oh, remember you called somebody, like, a guy named Hodges Ward Elliott. They called. There was a hotel that you looked a few months ago that was not for sale, but it is for sale now." So in the middle of the road, I called this guy, and he said, remember you called me about this Days Inn in Milledgeville, Georgia, that you wanted
Uh-huh.
to buy, but it was already under contract. Well, that contract has fallen through. So if you want to buy it, just apply. So I said, I'll be there tomorrow. So I literally went to Boston, took the money back, came back to Atlanta, told my brother-in-law, said, "Hey, listen, I would rather buy a hotel
So
than
tell
the
me
liquor
this:
store."
when you drove to Boston, did your friends actually give you physical cash?
Yeah,
So are
no,
you
not
riding in the
physical cash.
car with like eighty
They gave
thousand
me a
dollars
check.
in cash?
You would be surprised. I got $80,000 in that trip. I got 20,000, 10,000, 10,000, 20,000. I brought in with me more money than I ever thought I would bring. Okay.
This this is one thing I just quickly like to say is that in the immigrant community, whether it's South Asian, East Asian, a lot of your friends and family are always there, and they are the ones who are going to support you because at that time Niven didn't have access to capital.
That's
This
correct.
is today, people like myself, his daughter Millie, we work in SBA lending. And
Right.
we are able to give these new Americans access to capital. But
Right.
back then, there was nothing like that. So my father similarly had to get money from friends.
That's correct.
And so go ahead and continue with your story.
So I mean, I put the hotel under contract. I didn't want to leave the liquor store, so I called my brother-in-law, who was an engineer, much older than me. But because of him, I had come to this country. So I told him, "Why don't you buy a liquor store? I'll buy the hotel, and you move from cold weather of Pittsburgh down to here." So they moved, bought the liquor store with a couple of other partners, and I didn't have enough money to buy the hotel. So I got my brother-in-law Suren and his friend Popat Veera, as three of us owned 33% each, bought the hotel, renovated the hotel. It was 94 room Days Inn in small town called Milledgeville, Georgia, and I was the guy who was going to run it. I was 28-year-old, had just gotten married in India about 6 months ago. My wife was still in India
Wow.
and
That's
got into the hotel.
amazing.
But that is the best thing happened because I could take all the risk. I knew all the time that if I thing didn't work out, I can always go and get a job. So I didn't have nobody to support except myself.
Right, right.
And that's how I got into Days Inn. And
So
I was
that was
one
your
of the
first
few.
property. Days in Milledgeville, Georgia. And this is around what year? 1983?
1984 and early 1984. But remember, at that time, Days Inn, Holidays, nobody were giving franchise to Indians.
Right,
I
right.
went through 14 interviews. Me and my brother-in-law went to 14 interviews to get approved by Days Inn.
Talk
And
about
now,
that a little bit more. I really want to hear about that. Why was it so many interviews?
because it was pure discrimination. Why do you think we formed a HOA? Why do you think I did that? Because only reason I got approved because the hotel was owned by a previous senior vice president that worked at Days Inn before. He had his own brokerage company, but he knew everybody at Days Inn. So he was able to pull enough string. Hey, this hotel is not doing well. It needs mom and pop operator. I'm in Atlanta. We have 20 hotels. I cannot manage it. It's losing my shirt. Let me just give it to somebody else. Please approve him. And guess what? They approved it. Within 6 months, they failed me.
Wow.
And I said, what did I do to mess it up in 6 months so bad? It was, I think, not even 6 months, 3 or 4 months. And in those days, there was a regulation in Days Inn. You cannot transfer a failing property. You have to have a passing property to sell it.
Right.
Otherwise, Days Inn will not approve it. So I got really upset. I said, I called Days Inn, and I was so lucky. Michael Levin had just taken over Days Inn. The hotel company had just got sold.
Right.
So he was his 8th day of his job when I called him to tell him, hey, I need the old copy of all the inspection report to see what this hotel was before and how can I mess it up so big time to have gone from 371 score to 242 score.
Right.
370 was passing. When they transferred me, the score was 371, barely passing. And not to my surprise, I found out for the previous 3 years, it was always failing around 345. I mean, 245 scores. So just to transfer the hotel to me,
Yeah.
they had passed it.
Okay.
Okay, think about all the things that went behind the door to get this off. And if the reason they did that, because as a days in, they can get a better price from me.
Right. Exactly.
And as a days in, I can only get a loan. I would not get it was not a days in. So that's why they sold it. That's why I was able to buy it. And then they knew it. Hey, let's get this sold within 6 months. We'll fail this guy, get rid of him, and we won't need him anyways. That was their intent.
Wow.
But little did they know that I was not some Joe Blow guy that could not speak English. I was a mechanical engineer, could speak very well English, so I fought my way. I
Nice.
went to Mike Levin. I said, Mike, I cannot mess it up. 115 points within the span of 3 months. This is
Exactly.
wrong. Luckily, he was Jewish. He understood what I was saying. He exactly knew. And luckily, at that time, a lot of Indians were calling to get into franchising from independent properties. He was given a charge by Henry Silverman, who had bought this Days in Chain to grow the company.
Right.
So he knew my plea because he told me, when I went to meet him, he said, Nitin, I can understand 100%. I'm a Jew. When I went to Boston with my parents when I was a kid, I used to see a sign on the front desk of a hotel in Hyannisport, Massachusetts, where it says dogs and Jews are not allowed in this hotel.
Dang. Wow. So
Okay. So he told me, I get you. So that was, in my opinion, birth of Ahoa. Okay. At that time, he understood what was going on with us. And more applications were coming from Shahs and Patels. So he didn't know. So he started asking me, what is Shah? What is Patel? Somebody had felt a rumor that some mafia sitting in Mumbai is sending all this illicit money to money laundering in America to buy all these properties. So I had to explain him, and then he wanted to grow the Days in. So he hired a guy named Lee Dushop to do the study why people are discriminating in this building. In Days in building, why all these people not giving franchise to this community.
wow.
And so there was a study done. They found out there were 3 or 4 Indians. Their scores were no bad compared to Caucasian score. Their billing history was not that bad compared to the Caucasians. Okay, so at that time he got everybody in the room, and I will never forget. He called me one day and told me in front of us, all these executives, that we are going to not discriminate. We are going to franchise, and we're going to go to this company. And he took me, H.P. Raman, there was a guy named Sunny Anand in Chattanooga.
Uh-huh.
We were all 3 days in franchise in a room, and they said, let's have first Asian Indian Hotel Owners Conference.
Wow.
Just
So this is the creation of Ahoa. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So we just met, not knowing anybody will come or not. I had like 10 people register 4 days before the event. So he gave us the phone, called us in Atlanta, started making calls to every Indian. Say, hey, listen, there's a free food. Everything is free. Just come in, come in. We were able to get 150 some people. We were able to get AHLA. We were able to get SBA. We were able to get some of the people. I think Mike Levin was trying to help us buy Days in franchise with the SBA money, telling AHLA and everybody that, hey, this is an up and growing community. Let's help them grow and not discriminated like we got discriminated. And then after the conference, we sat down at night at 9 o'clock. We said, shit, we are on to something. And
Wow.
in the middle, a couple of things had happened. I got inspected. A friend of mine in Knoxville got inspected when his wife was wearing a sari during the inspection. And the inspector told him, I'm going to fail you because you don't have uniform. And the lady was
Wow.
like 60-year-old. He said, I've
See,
never.
that wouldn't happen today. If
Yeah,
that
he said,
inspector
I've
did that
never
today,
worn.
he'd be fired.
Right. I said, I've never worn an uniform. I've never worn a skirt. So he knew me. So he called me. He said, Nitin, you're another Days in franchise. I heard you know Michael Levin. How can I not fail in this inspection? This guy's going to fail me. So we had instances after instances of discriminations every day. We hear from other Indians that these guys were literally had bought the Days in corporate, knowing that this is a temporary, we're going to throw them out of the system anyways. Let the old Caucasian owner who wants to retire get rid of it as it is in. It was literally corporate shit.
Wow. That's
Okay.
amazing.
But then we together fought it, and to our luck, Michael Levin, the company got sold, the new blood came in. They understood our plea. They wanted to grow the company, so it was a perfect storm. We were getting discriminated, but we now had a help at the highest level. At the same time, the company got bought. They wanted to grow and go nationally, so they wanted us.
Yeah, I
So
mean, Days In for the longest time when we first came was the gold standard. You
yes,
know,
I went through
it
14
wasn't like
interviews.
today where everyone's has Marriott,
Gavan, I went
Hilton.
with the previous management, 14 interviews. We were stayed in 3 days. Every day I'll go to a different floor. They showed me how to clean commode, how to clean bathroom. MBA, nuclear engineer, learning to clean bathroom. They told me how to pay the bills, this, that. Even then, and my loan at the closing table, I'll never forget. The previous, somehow there was some problem with seller financing with the banks. Bank, it's called Georgia Railroad Bank out of Augusta,
Hmm.
will not transfer the loan on my name unless we figured out somehow to give them additional collateral. My brother-in-law had to put his 15, 20 room hotel as an additional collateral.
Wow,
And we were charged 14.5% interest rate to
Jesus.
transfer that loan. And we still said yes. And the closing took from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And around 3 o'clock, this guy, I will never forget, he said, world will not stop running, turning around if you didn't close this hotel today. This is my deal, take it or leave it.
Wow.
And we still took it because we were so damn desperate.
You have to. I was just shocked by the interest rate.
14,
Granted, this is the 80s, but that's amazing.
yes.
So tell me this now. You get your first hotel, you're up and running. When did that light bulb go off in your head that said, wow, I really have something here. I've got to grow it and expand it. And tell me how you kind of proceeded to do that over, I guess, the next 10, 15, 20 years.
I really loved the business because I found out in the hotel business that I was a people person more so than being engineer working with machines and nuclear plants. That was my wake up call. I said, geez, you in India, either you're a doctor or engineer, you are nobody. And from eighth grade, I was in technical school, so I was destined to become engineer. Little did I know that I will not like the machines. I would not like nuclear plants. I would like to work with people, but I was never given that opportunity, never knew it.
Yes.
When I started going into the front desk and interacting with the guests and whatnot, I knew, my God, this is a business I love. I can come and go anytime I want. I do whatever. I wake up when I want to. I can come, I can go. There is no keys to the door. We are open 24/7. I just loved it. Within 6 months, remember there was no computer, so we had an old mechanical cash register.
Oh,
So
wow.
I learned the system. I mean, night audit used to take 6 hours.
And I bet you probably still had those key machines
Yeah,
to make
absolutely.
keys anytime
I
somebody
made keys
lost a
all my
key.
life. I cleaned the rooms, I painted the rooms, I made the rooms, I cleaned bathrooms, I won the front desk. I was the first one to buy a semi-computerized PMS system.
Oh, wow. That's where today where they use the cards,
Yeah.
correct?
No, I mean the whole property management system. There was no such thing as property management system. It was
Oh,
all
wow.
mechanical. You'll say $23.88, hit a point re, and then hold a little bar. Boom, and it goes jik jung, and then it goes room, and then you put tax. Then hold it again. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was really primitive.
That's amazing. That's
And then
amazing.
I liked it, so I called my brother-in-law, who was my partner. I said, "Hey, this is a great business. We are not making as much money, but Holiday Inn next door is always full. I used to visit their parking lot at night, and I used to count number of cars.
Right.
And I said, Suren, they're charging $42 and we are charging $23. How come people are paying $42 and they're full all the time?"
Yeah.
And I was always about the price only. I said, shit, why they put $42 and not pay me only half and come to my hotel? But little did I know Holiday Inn had a brand, name, royalty club and all that stuff. So I told my partner, I said, let's build a Holiday Inn. And he used to laugh at me. He said, you must be dreaming. Who's going to give us money? We hardly bought these in. So I did not give up. So I used to visit after about 6, 8 months. I literally started visiting town to see where there was no Holiday Inn.
Right.
I would literally take a directory of Holiday Inn, directory of Days Inn, and compare which hotel is in which city and which hotel is not which city and where is the occupancy. And I used to go previous night
And you're driving down 85.
75, 85, I didn't care. I was in the middle of a 75, 85 and I-20.
Right.
So I will just pick up a phone. Oh, this is a good town, but I don't see any Green Holiday Inn in the directory. So I'll say, okay, Thomaston, Georgia, there is no Holiday Inn, but there's a Days Inn. So let's go to Thomaston, Georgia, because there's no Holiday Inn. That's how I used to pick up a site.
Wow.
That's how I built a hotel in Monroe, Georgia, or Monroe, North Carolina, because there was a Holiday Inn, but there was no Days Inn.
Right, right.
So I said to my partner, I said, let me go. There's a party in Columbia, South Carolina. I'll go previous day. I started early and I took a detour, 100-mile detour, just to see what Monroe, North Carolina looks like. When I went there in the evening, the whole parking lot was full. So I called my partner. I said, we must build a hotel right here because this hotel is full. That's our due diligence. And I bought a 4-acre across the street. And I'll tell you the story about it. I went to build a hotel and there was a 4-acre drive-in theater that was closed down. You could see all the microphones and all projectors in the parking lot of this 4-acre land. And there was a sign, land for sale.
Right, right.
Call the owner. He told me, I don't know who you are, sir, but you don't call me after 6:30. If you want to talk to me, you come at 6:30 in the morning at this Ace Hardware store.
Right.
And I said, what? I said, sir, I'm from out of town. He said, I don't care. I don't talk to people after 6:30.
Wow.
So I went to the party in Columbia, South Carolina, came back next day, met him at the Ace Hardware store, stayed there for half an hour, trying to wait for the guy. I did not know who he was. I was waiting for somebody to come in nice pants and suits. And then I see these guys in overall in a pickup truck. And I said, sir, are you Mr. Bundy? He said, yes. What can I do? He said, sir, I said, I want to buy your land. He said, kid, when you grew, I was like 28, right?
Yeah.
Kid, when you grew up and out of the college, you come and call me because this land is $400,000. I said, no, sir, I'm not in the college. I have a hotel. I want to buy this. He said, okay, you're going to pay me $450,000? I said, yeah, but if you have to give me 120 days. He said, well, do you have an attorney in town? I said, no, I don't, but I can get one. He said, well, get one and give me $450,000 contract, and I'll see you in a couple of hours. I said, sir, do you know any attorney? He said, no, but you can look in the yellow pages. So I literally go to Ace Hardware, pick up the yellow pages, call the first attorney, go to him, and he said, Mr. Shah, don't waste your time. I don't know where you're coming from, but nobody has bought any land from Bundy. He owns that land since 1938.
Wow.
And he owns that whole 1 mile.
Right.
I said,
all down 74.
Yeah, on the 74. He said, no. I said, no. I have already spoken to him. Just draw me a contract, please. So he took a little residential contract that was in a form, boilerplate form. And he said, tick mark here, put address here, put the county name, put this here, and then sign it here and give it to him. Because he thought I'm wasting my time anyway. That's how we ended up in a contract of $425,000, I think, with no money, not knowing. I did not remember even $10,000.
Right. So how do you accomplish this?
But I have 120 days of time. So I called my partners and I said, this is a great land. I can sell front 2 acre to a restaurant and we'll build a hotel on the next door or backside. So immediately I came home, started preparing on a typewriter, entire, like a loan package, a sell package.
Wow.
The population, the demographics, this, that.
So you did all of this yourself.
And I started in the regular mail, McDonald's, Burger King. Anybody who was not in Monroe, I started sending the packages.
Wow.
And 15, 20 days later, guess what? Claremont, North Carolina, there was a guy called chain called Mom's Restaurant. It was a competition to Cracker Barrel. They had a plant of making the patties for the hamburger.
Right.
So they called me and say, hey, we are trying to for a long time to come in Monroe to put this restaurant as competition to Cracker Barrel. And I just got your package. I want to talk to you.
Wow.
So me and my 2 partners literally visit to Claremont, South Carolina, 1 traffic light town with this big plant. And we said, shit, where the hell are we coming? This address is for a plant. So we asked the guy at the entrance. He said, yeah, you go ahead. So we met the guy, and this guy was this fat. And he said, how did you get this land on contract? I've been trying to buy this land for 1 year. I said, sir, I have it under contract. You want to put a restaurant? I'll put a hotel on the backside. He said, how much do you need? I said, well, you tell me. So we went from 250,000 to 375,000 if I gave him a little bit more of frontage, and I put the hotel on the back. And I said, shit, 375 out of 425?
That's only 50.
Done the deal.
The brains.
So then we did the deal, come home, have a contract, and we are about to close the property, right? So I called my lawyer. I said, we are closing, right? Yeah. He said, everything is done. Just wire transfer me 375,000. Wire transfer me 425,000. I said, Bobby, I don't have the money. I thought we were going to sell this land and get this money. And he told me a statement that I've never forgotten after 40 years. He said, Nitin, you can't sell something you don't own. I said, Bobby, that's right. I forgot. I said, what do I do? I just thought I'll get this 375 from here. And then between three of us, I'll give you 50 and we'll close the land.
Yeah.
He said, are you freaking out of your mind? I'll tell you what. Let me do this. I'll do the closing on the same day for both of them.
Right.
He said, I'll take a chance. I'll put their money in escrow, and then you give me your 50, and we'll figure out, and we'll record the purchase first, and then we'll record the sale. So we literally went there hoping that everything goes okay to buy this property.
Wow.
In one room of this lawyer's office, we literally sold the land that we didn't own.
Right.
Took the cashier check, signed it on the back, gave it to the lawyer. He put it in escrow. And on the other side of the room, we had the buyer. We were the buyer. So we gave this check to Bundy with our $50,000 check.
Right, to
Mr.
Bobby
Bundy told his secretary, make sure you record the purchase first and then record the sale 5 minutes later.
Right. Wow. Mind blown. I'm telling you.
And it came in the next day in the newspaper that somebody bought not only Bundy's land, but flipped it, half of it for 370. Everything became news in town.
Wow. Where was this, in the Charlotte Observer?
It was in Monroe.
Okay.
In Monroe. So it was amazing. First of all, nobody could buy anything from Bundy. And secondly, on the same day, we are selling this land for half the price, and we had 2 acres for $50,000. Okay, and that
this
price,
is entrepreneurship at its finest.
Yes, and that became my equity to build the hotel.
Do you realize what you did today would require 3 different companies involved?
Yes.
You put together a full pitch deck, which you would normally get from like a Marcus and Millichap, CBRE. You did all of this yourself, did all the due diligence, went and met with all the players.
Yes.
That's amazing. You know?
I was extremely motivated. I'm telling you, I used to have a purchase contract in my trunk. I had prepared on a typewriter a blank purchase and sell contract with everything, name of the town, the address, buyer, seller, everything blank.
Wow.
And I bought 2 or 3 land while passing and going playing cards while coming back in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Me and Suren were coming back. And I said, Suren, let's take an exit at Waffle House. Let's have Indian tea. So we went to Waffle House to take a tea. And I said, Suren, there's no Hampton Inn here. And sitting in Waffle House, I see a land for sale literally next to Waffle House.
Uh-huh.
I said, Suren, let's call this guy. And it was Sunday evening.
Wow.
No reason somebody will answer.
Nobody's going to pick up.
In the Waffle House payphone, we called him. The guy picked it up. He said, not only picked it up, he said, my house is right across the street. Where are you? I said, I'm in Waffle House. He said, come tomorrow and we'll do a contract. I said, no. I got the contract in my trunk. Let's do it right now.
Wow.
And we started for 2 acres with 250,000. I bought it for 180,000.
Just negotiating back and forth.
Literally then and there, in half an hour.
In the Waffle House.
He filled out all the filling the blanks. He signed the contract and put a 62-room Hampton Inn in 1991-92.
Wow. So tell me this. You've done all of this. You've built all these hotels. When did you switch over to your current role today? And what kind of made you think of starting a bank, getting the money together? And for everyone that doesn't know, Mr. Shah here, Nitin Uncle, as I affectionately like to call him, is chairman and CEO of Embassy National Bank, which is the first Indian American majority owned financial institution in the state of Georgia. And I would probably say in the southeastern United States, correct?
Right. Right. Well,
So
what happened was
talk about that.
I had a guy named Chris Floor that used to work for CNS Bank. He was a big shot in Macon, near to Milledgeville. And when CNS got bought by Nations Bank, which is Bank of America today, he lost his job. So he just called me in Milledgeville one day out of a blue moon and started saying that, hey, I'm doing hotel loans for all the Indians. Do you need any money? So he just called me one day, and at that time I was just negotiating to buy a hotel. So I told him, yes, I'm buying a hotel actually in Macon from an insurance company. Remember, there was after first Gulf War. The economy was very bad.
91.
91, 92, the economy was very bad. So a lot of people were selling hotel for half, one third the price. So I was buying this Ramada Inn in Macon. I said, I have one hotel right in Macon I'm buying. Can you get me financing for that? Within 5-10 days, he literally got the financing for me. I met him. I liked him. And we became a friend. And over the year period, when I moved to Atlanta, he moved to Atlanta because he didn't have anything to do in Macon. And every time I would buy something, I would give him the whole thing. And I said, go, Chris, go look for money.
And this at the time is before the 94 Olympics.
Yes.
Which put Atlanta on the map.
96
Atlanta, when you're there, you moved in 92, 93.
No, I moved in 93. The Olympics were in 96.
96, that's right,
Yeah.
96.
So then in those period of time, he did 3 or 4 financing for me. And one day he came to me in 96, 97, I think. He said, let's open a bank. I said, Chris, I don't know anything about bank. What do I do? I said, how much money do you need to open a bank? He said, $5 million. I said, $5 million? Are you freaking crazy? I can't even get $500,000. So I said no to him. And within about 3 or 4 month period, I got a call from a friend of mine. He said, Nitin, there's a doctor that has moved here from Minnesota who is opening a bank. He wants you to invest $10,000. Would you please invest $10,000? I said, I will invest $10,000, but do you need a president? I have a great candidate for you.
No way. Wow.
So I literally gave Chris Floor the name of the bank and this, my friend of mine, name of Chris Floor, and he ended up getting the job, which is called Quantum National Bank. Today is a $500 million bank.
Wow. Okay.
He ran it since 1996 to 2002, and then he did my financing as a Quantum Bank. I was a shareholder. Every time he'll do a hotel deal or need reference of somebody, he'll call me because we were friends. He was a president.
Right.
So over the year, he said, Nitin, I told you, open the bank. Listen, it's $5 million, it's worth $10 million. Then next 2-3 years later, he said, no, now it's worth 15. And last time he retired in 2004, he said, Dr. Neal's $5 million is worth $22 million.
Wow.
Aren't you stupid to not start this? And I said, oh my God. And he said, Nitin, now I'm retired and I'm playing golf. So he played golf for about 4 or 5 months. He literally got tired. He called me one day. He said, Nitin, can I have lunch? I said, okay, let's have lunch. And while having lunch, he said, Nitin, I'm 57. Let's do it one more time. Open a bank, and I'll work for 3 years. If I do everything right, you write me a $250,000 check at the end of the 3 years, and I'll give you a running bank. And I literally wrote him a $10,000 check right then and there. And I said, you go to work from tomorrow.
Wow.
And 18 months later, the bank was open. So that's the story of having regret of not opening and then opening. And I opened on March 5th, 2007. Okay, but thank God I didn't open before, because a lot of people that opened the bank before failed in 2007 and 8.
So that's what I'm saying. You opened the bank a year before
American
the greatest recession.
82 banks failed, and most of the Indian banks, High Trust, Heaven Trust, Alpha Bank, American United, they all failed. A lot of banks in Chicago that were all Indian owned, they all failed. So I thought God was literally looking after me to not open bank at the wrong time. Plus, I learned the lesson not to be too aggressive.
Right.
Okay, so that is, I think God was really looking after me to not open the thing at the right time. Okay, otherwise I could have been one of those who failed. Quantum Bank came literally this close to fail, but the sponsors were really rich guy. He was a doctor and a lot of resources, so he could pull enough money to put in the bank to survive. But this is the story of how I opened the bank. And at that time, I knew there were a lot of needs for SBA lending, a lot of needs for Asian Indians. There were a lot of hardworking people that could not qualify the loan because they could not speak good English.
Right.
They were very successful entrepreneur, but they were not good borrower because they didn't represent themselves as a good borrower,
And
which
they
is
just
still a
didn't have the
problem today.
knowledge, right? They don't have the terminology, how to explain it, but they have hard work, the
Ethics,
understanding, and the stick to itiveness.
absolutely. And as of today, 90% of the loans that I do are to those people, and I am much more than bank. I help them ensure they do the right thing. I tell them how a loan package needs to be prepared, what to do, what not to do, and I literally coach them. And I sometimes they'll come and say, "Oh, I'll fix this hotel for 100,000 and PIP," and I said, "No,
No,
give me
you can't
200,000.
because you've already done
I'll
it.
give you 100,000 more."
Yeah, because you've already done it. You know.
I've done it. So, and I said, "But don't ever screw me. If you ever screw me or being dishonest to me, I'll run this hotel." So I will help you, but as long as you stay honest and have integrity to work with me, work hard and stay honest to me, and I'll help you. And God bless, I have almost 150, 200 hotels in our portfolio right now, majority of them Indians. And I've taken people from foreclosure, I've taken people from receivership, I've taken people who didn't even know there was hotel getting foreclosed. I've taken people from wraparound mortgage where they had bought the hotels from a seller with a wraparound mortgage, not telling the bank that the ownership was sold,
Oh, wow.
and the loan had matured, and the guy was just keep on paying to the Indians, and Indian was not paying to the bank.
No way.
And they would have a
Great.
notice, they would not even know it's a foreclosure notice. They'll bring literally husband wife come in the bank and say, "Can you read this for me?" And I'll tell him, "Your hotel is getting foreclosed in 2 weeks. What, did you not pay the payment?" He said, "No, no, no, I'm paying my payment to Dhirubhai."
Right.
And I said, well, did you not pay to the bank?" He said, "No, no, no, we bought it from Dhirubhai. Dhirubhai is paying the bank." I said, "Well, he's not."
That's crazy.
So then I'll call Dhirubhai, and Dhirubhai is in India. Then I'll call the bank and I'll literally tell them what happened. And I'll tell them, "Listen, I'm financing him. I'll pay you off. If you just take the foreclosure notice out, give them 30, 60 more days, and I'll do it." I help people getting discount. Those bank that failed, the loan had gotten sold to private enterprises. So I literally negotiated with those private companies to help them say, "Listen, I can pay you off if you just give me enough time to do it." And often they got a lot of discounts. Often they got a lot of money. Often, they didn't even know they were going to get a discount. They were just
Wow.
there to save the hotel. So that's how I think Embassy really became popular, that we were much more than hotel. We were literally coaching them in all aspect of finance, how to run it, the PIP, the franchise. I would tell him about the franchise, good, bad, and ugly. I'll tell him about the location. I'll tell him about the renovations, what not to do, make sure they take lien releases, make sure the contractors don't screw them, get this loan, get AIA contract. I mean, the whole 9 yards. And I think that is the reason of our success, because when people come, they just get more than money.
No, that is amazing. That's what I love about this story. I think you've done a very amazing, successful job. Tell me one thing you would give as advice, and we'll wrap it up here, for young entrepreneurs, whether they are first generation or even second generation, that are looking to go into entrepreneurship.
I can only tell you that you have to be hardworking, very aggressive, and go after your dream. And just like I did, it's all about perseverance, persistence, aggressiveness, and making sure you do what you need to do or you love to do. And make sure at the end of the day, always do what your heart says, do it. Because at the end of the day, you have to be happy. Money is not everything in life, but don't give up the dream just because there are so many problems. Failure is only first step to the success. So I don't ever give up the dream. Do not ever give. If I can do it, you guys have a 5-bedroom house, you're driving Lexus. Do not come and complain to your mom and dad, I don't have this. Do not, because we didn't have nothing.
Exactly.
And
No,
we made it.
100%.
And this is the best country in the world to succeed. If you cannot succeed here, you will not succeed anywhere in the world. Now you have access. There's very little discrimination. You guys are educated. You guys have a good, great English. You understand marketing. You understand the whole thing. Only thing that will not make you succeed is yourself. And don't think just because you're smart you'll succeed. Hard work is as important.
100%.
Aggressiveness is as
That's what I
important.
tell all the time.
And just at the end of the day, make sure be happy.
So great speaking with you. Nitin Shah here, President, Chairman, CEO, Embassy National Bank, from humble beginnings, 1979 to 2021 today. Congratulations for everything you've accomplished. I really appreciate you being on our program. And I got to let you know, I need a loan. I got a project.
Sure.
I'm going to send you the pitch book. Okay.
Yes, sir. And thank you for making me the first one on your media company. Appreciate it. And let me know if I could be any help to anybody.
Yes, 100%. We'll put your information and the bank's information if anyone is looking for conventional SBA financing in the state of Georgia, Southeast, 9 states. Please reach out and check out our next episode coming up very soon. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
All right, buddy. Take care. Stay safe.
Will do.